Closing weekend under the TwinSpires of Churchill Downs for the September meet. We're going to sink our teeth into a couple of very nice stakes. Joe Kristufek and Scott Shapiro. And Scott, the older horses are in the spotlight in the Lucas Classic. We'll talk about that in another video. But a Breeders' Cup win and you're in for the Dirt Mile. It is the Grade 3 Ack Ack, purse 300,000. And unlike the Dirt Mile for the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland, this is a one-turn affair.
Sure is. And at first, it didn't look like this race was going to come up super strong. But man, in the end, this thing really came out to be not only a deep field, but some high quality horses in here, making for a great second to last graded stakes event on the Churchill Downs shortened September meet, Joe.
One speaker's corner is going to be the post-time favorite, Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. And this horse has faced some of the best horses in training. Life is Good, we'll see on Saturday at Aqueduct, Belmont at Aqueduct, and Flightline, obviously the best horse currently in training. The 1 mile distance appears to be his game. Scotty draws the rail like I mentioned here, but I look around, man, and outside of Injunction, I don't see a lot of speed in this race. He's been in some fast-paced races against some good horses. I can't see him not getting a dream trip in this race.
He definitely should make the lead from the inside, and like you said, has taken on serious competition throughout the year. However, it was a ship out the Del Mar, which is always tricky, but that effort in the Pat O'Brien left a lot to be desired. He, went quick early, but did it on his own terms and really had little left to offer. So the question is, was it the trip out west and maybe a regression off those two efforts, or is it a horse that just, isn't the same horse he was earlier this year? Now, as the probable favorite at post time, like you suggested, he's going to be a horse that I'm not overly thrilled to bet, but he's definitely the likeliest to win and almost certain to hit the board if he's loose on the lead.
Well, let's talk about who you like in this race, because I think Speaker's Corner looks very tough. Trying to find valuable alternatives, price-wise was difficult for me only because of the pace scenario. From the rail, I'd love to try to beat this horse, but the other horses that I kind of sort of like are kind of sort of way out the back closers.
Well, you're right. And I'm hoping Injunction and maybe Twilight Blue or Mailman Money, who have tactical foot, will be a little more aggressive, but certainly see where you're coming from in here. Even Untreated has a little bit of tactical speed, but if Speaker's Corner is at his best, I certainly understand where you're coming from. I did go to Folsom Joe. I mean, I know he's an out the back closer, even at 2 turns, and now he's cutting back to 1 turn, but man, he really flies when he comes home in pretty much any given scenario. He did it over the Slop and Mountaineer back on August 6th in the West Virginia Governor, and that effort on June 25th. I know it didn't get his career best Brisnet speed rating, but I thought he ran absolutely huge, beating Twilight Blue off a very soft pace. So I just think Folsom is at his best right now. I don't know if he's going to offer significantly better value, but maybe if the pace scenario influences bettors, he'll be a little bit of a better price than maybe he should be.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this horse. That day he beat Twilight Blue that you alluded to. He broke very slowly. He was in a tight spot. He was tugging. He had to catch a nice horse who had the run of the race. So Folsom, I think, is in the best form of his career. And if he does get a fast pace to run at, what kind of price you hoping for? 8, 10 to 1?
I mean, I think that would be ambitious in here, but maybe you're right. I mean, he is a horse that has struggled when he's moved up to graded stakes company to be as good as he has and kind of facing that second tier. But it looks like maybe they're hoping to win this race and get a spot in the 2-turn Dirt Mile that you referenced at Keeneland. But it was an interesting decision for Brad Cox and his team to choose this race over the Lucas Classic. I guess he thinks he fits better on class.
Let's mention a couple of others. I'm going to mention as a possible price shot to Untreated for Todd Pletcher on the cutback here. I kind of like the cutback for this horse. He's shown tactical speed, hasn't been able to seal the deal in the vast majority of his recent races against solid competition. He's by Nyquist out of an Unbridled Song mare going, mile and a quarter, mile and 3/16, mile and an eighth. I think he'll be tactical enough to stay close, and I think coming out of those routes, he'll have some finishing punch. Anybody else you want to mention here?
Well, Untreated should get the right trip. His last time when he raced at a 1-turn mile was over the muddy going at Aqueduct last New Year's Eve. He won that, and he won the race prior to that. So it does have the ability to win at the 1-turn mile. I do think he lacks punch, and I think he is a little bit better around 2 turns, but the trip should be there. You know, I have a soft spot for Twilight Blue, Joe. I almost picked this horse, and I do think he's going to get the right trip. The 1-turn mile, though, might be a little bit sharp for him, and it is hard for me to see him beating Folsom with any sort of fair race shape, just because as good as he ran in that effort when they faced each other, and as good as he ran in the Fort Larned, he had his things his way, much more than Folsom did in that event, and he still couldn't outfinish him. So those are the major contenders for me. I think 3 Technique may be worth mentioning. I mean, basically running to the wire with Cody's Wish, and without a wide voyage might have beat that horse. And we know Cody's Wish came back to beat Jackie's Warrior. So that was serious business for a horse that has reinvented himself under the care of Jason Cook.
Scott's going to go with the long shot Folsom on top. Open for maybe 8-10 to 1 on him. We'll see what the eventual price is. I'm going to go with Speaker's Corner. I think he's the class of the field. I think he has a tactical advantage in the Wyndon You're In for the Dirt Mile, the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, the Grade 3 Ack Ack at Churchill. Goes off as race number 9 of 11 on the closing Saturday card. We do race Sunday as well. And don't forget about the Bet Back promotion via TwinSpires. Make sure you opt in. If you bet a horse to win in races 7, 8, or 9 on Saturday, your horse finishes second or third, we'll give you up to $10 back. Best of luck in the Ack Ack.